Hello my loves, welcome back to another astrology session. Let's talk about the first house today. I think the first house is probably one of the most misunderstood areas in the chart, right after the 12th house. I think I would like to shed a little more light onto the first house. Even though you might think the first house is a very highlighted area, right? But because it is a filter, it can be a little blurry, and the understanding of it can also be a little blurry. Now, talking about light, it's been gray all morning, and the moment I tapped play on my camera, the light came out, the sun came out. Now, if that isn't the sign. So, first house. We're gonna look at the first house obviously in correlation with the other houses and the whole chart, but particularly how the first house and the second house and the 12th house connect, because I believe this will help you understand the first house on a deeper level. Now, first of all, what is the first house? Well, the first house is your identity. It's often described as the lens you use to look at the world, and also the lens that the world uses to see you. The world, and by the world I mean the people that meet you, they generally meet a version of your lens. And I say a version because that lens can sometimes be a little more blurry, sometimes it's a little more red, other times it's a little more blue, right? That it really depends on the light that hits that lens, right? Stay with the metaphor of lens. Like this weekend, I went for a hike by the sea, and there were parts of the hike that were in the shade and another parts that were in the sun. And when I took pictures in the shade, the scenery looked very different than when I took pictures in the light. And it's the same thing with your first house, with your ascendant sign. That lens, there is a range. And when we look at it from the perspective of the sign in the house, we need to understand that every sign has a range of expression. There's a lower end of expression, and then there's the higher end of expression, and then there's a lot in the middle. So your identity has a lot of range. And depending on where you're at on that range, right, it will allow you to filter more of your other parts, right, through, right? Your second house will filter through differently depending on what range you are embodying at the moment of your identity, right, of your first house. Higher vibration, lower vibration, right? What end of the spectrum are you on, or where are you? And that's also what then helps you reshaping your identity, like shifting and changing what you embody and what you allow to shine through more. The more aware you become of your ascendant sign, of your first house, what sits in there, the more aware you become of that, right? And even if you're not into astrology, but the more aware you become of your identity and what shaped it, because your identity was shaped by the people that surrounded you in the early years, right? Also, the country you were born in, right? Because that country has a certain language. That country has certain ideas of how to express what is right and what is wrong. And that filter that you now look through was shaped very early on. And a lot is very unconscious, a lot of that filtering, right? I'm sure you're aware of a lot of things too, but a lot is still unconscious. And the more conscious you become of that, those unconscious things, those unconscious parts of your filter, the more range you will get, because you're like, okay, I can play with this, I can open this, and then I can allow my 12th house, that soul consciousness to shine through more. Because the first house is the doorway to the 3D world. Right? So if it's the doorway, you open the door, and you can open the door a little bit, open the door a little more, or a little more, a little more, a little more, or you can have it wide open. And the wider it is open, the more of you can shine through. I don't want you to think there's like the first house isn't you. It is you, but it's just a part of you that filters all the other parts, right? And the more you allow it to open, you stretch it, you widen it, you open that door, quite literally, more of you can come through. And now let's look at it from the perspective of what is closest to the first house. Well, the 12th house and the second house, right? So the second house, what is the second house? The second house is your worth and value system, but not just what you value around you, the things, the people, but how you value yourself. Like quite literally, we have to bring it back to complete basics before we look at anything around us. It's us. And no, that's not selfish. That is just that's just where we start. Okay? So how do you value yourself? Worthiness. I am worthy because I am, right? But that's not what we learn, because again, our value system is also shaped by our surrounding. So what most of us learned is not that we are innately worthy. It is that we have to earn our keep, right? We have to earn it. But when we come back to basics, that's then also filtered through identity, right? Through the first house. Because the awareness of that is there, but again, because it was shaped so early in our lives, the first house, the second house, that it's very unconscious parts of us. Obviously, we know our upbringing, but often we are not seeing the full picture, right? We are seeing a layer of it. And then also what we do, it's like, because of this, that's why I am like that. Because of my mother, because of my father, because of this, because that happened, because that happened. But again, you got to come back to you. It's like, okay, because, but now what? What gives you agency? You can't change the people around you. You can only change yourself. So you come back to you. So if you learned early on that, you have to do to be worthy, to have any value, you understand, okay, that's what I've learned, but is that the ultimate truth, right? You have to bring it back to you, and you have to then work with you, and you have to then decide to look at it differently, right? Because again, the second house and the 12th house are the closest to the first house. So we are often blind to it in a lot of ways, right? We see it because it's so close, we see it, but also we don't have the bird's eye view because it's so close. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to get to here is that your identity is very, very tied to your worth and value, right? That's one of the closest things. And often that's also the hardest for us to overcome. Our understanding of, I have to work really, really, really hard. I have to do all these things in order to make money. Because remember, the second house is also money, right? It includes that, because that's how worth and value translates into things. That's why money and the understanding of money, aka worth and value, is often the hardest things for people to really wrap their head around, right? Because for them it's like, no, but I have to go to work. Yeah, I might not like my job, but I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And I'm not saying you shouldn't work or no one has to work, but I just want you to bring you back to the basic premise of you are worthy just because you are, right? So you are worthy of money just because you are, not because you are working hard, right? That is something you've learned. You work because you want to work, right? You work because you want to do something on planet. That's why you came here. That's why you're in this physical body. That's why you have the facilities and the capacities that you have, right? So that your body is able to move, to do things, right? Like you're gonna do things. Of course, you're gonna do things. You're not gonna just sit on the couch, for 90 years and then you die. No, you're gonna do things. But I think we gotta come back to, what is it actually that I'm here to do? And now we're getting to the 12th house, because 12th house is also closest to the first house, right? Like on both ends, the first house meets the 12th house and the second house. Now the 12th house, I mentioned that in last week's video. It was a synastry video, but I really started out the video, if you haven't watched it yet, talking about the bigger meaning of the 12th house, that it's not just endings and loss and delusion or illusions or, all of that. It is where your soul resides, right? It's that soul essence, right? Really. And that soul essence then wants to come through the first house into this 3D reality, because the 12th house, we've left the 3D in the 12th house. In the 12th house, that it's beyond, it's Piscean energy. We can't really grasp it, right? It's like that fish that's slipping out of your hand because it's very slippery. So it's that energy in the 12th house that is not, you can't really define it. Whatever, not with your 3D senses and facilities. But because you have that soul essence within you, you understand it, you just can't really put it in words. And every time you try, it loses its meaning, really. It loses its fullness. When you try to describe the 12th house and bring it into the 3D reality, into the logical, the sensical, try to make it Virgo, right? 12th house is Pisces, 6th house is Virgo, right? That axis. You're trying to bring it into this world. It loses something. Something gets lost in that Piscean energy. It's not Piscean energy anymore. It becomes the Virgo energy, right? There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just not the same. So it's like trying to understand that 12th house with your 3D mind. Just don't. It's okay. We don't have to understand and define everything in the 3D way. I think that's where the beauty comes in. That's where actually also your power lies. Your true power lies in not having to define it, but just sourcing from it, right? You're sourcing from it. And again, the more you open your first house, the more of your 12th house can shine through. The more of your soul essence can shine through, right? Because it's closest to the first house. So the more you open the lens of your first house, let's say you're Virgo rising, right? Let's just make it easy. I'm a Virgo rising. So let's say you're Virgo rising, and there's a lower end of the spectrum and then the higher end of the spectrum of that energy. And the more you understand that energy, the more you can tap into all parts of it. And the more you widen the lens, more of that soul essence can come through, right? That, there's that Leo in the 12th house can now shine through more because the door is open. And if you've been following me for a while, you noticed that in the last few months, really in the last year, I've talked a lot about manifestation because that's just, it's part of being alive, right? Part of being is like manifesting. That's what we do. That's what we came here to do. We're manifesting. Manifestation basically just means making things 3D, right? Sourcing from the 4D and 5D, from the 12th house energy and manifesting. Nice. And I talked about, your self-concept, your understanding of self and what you can do in life and what you can achieve in life and what you can manifest in life really depends on your identity. So now when we bring it back to astrology and into astrology terms, and it really depends on your first house. How well do you know your first house and how much of your first house are you allowing to experience yourself? Like again, when we have a lens, you can, play with that lens. To let more light in. And by letting more light in, I'm talking about your 12th house, right? Letting that in shine through. And then also, of course, we can take this through the whole chart, right? Your sun can shine through in more glory. Your moon, everything of you can shine through more. So your first house is a priority. Now it's getting really interesting, and I didn't really need to make this such a long video, but now here we go. What's on the other side? On the other side is the 7th house. What's the 7th house? Well, it tells us about relationships, our one-on-one relationships. And then, of course, a big part of that is, of course, the romantic relationship we are in, right? Our partner, our life partner. Now, that's where it gets really interesting, because that's where we then get to know more of us, more of our lens, because that partner helps us, quote unquote helps us. We might often not see it as help, but helps us see more of ourselves by pointing things out, right? That mirror on the other side helps us opening up that lens. And again, depending on how aware you are of all of it, you might resist it, you might blame your partner for not being this or that. But if you can if you have that awareness, you can see it. You can see the triggering, or you can see the little problems we encounter in relationships, or the, the little things where we rub against each other. You can see that as the biggest gift ever given to you, because that helps you, fine-tune your lens like see things from a different perspective. It's a wider perspective, right? It's you're not just looking into the world like this. You can now look like this, so you can see this, right? So everything that is triggering is information, right? If your partner triggers something and your partner triggers you, it's information. That doesn't mean that partner is right, is always right? It's not about, you allow your partner to run all over you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, what is triggering you? What do you notice is triggering you in the other? And what can you learn about yourself? Maybe you learn that you have no boundaries and you let people all walk all over you. Maybe that the conclusion for you is, I'm going to let that partner go. Or I start practicing my boundaries, and you will see how that partner responds. Because also what I always say is like, and this obviously doesn't come from me, this is a Neville Goddard line: everyone is you pushed out. If everyone is you pushed out, then everyone is you, because we all come from the same source consciousness. We're just different experiences of that source consciousness. Do you understand what I'm saying? So someone else comes in from the same source consciousness, right? We are all coming from the same source consciousness, but we are different parts of it. Like, it's almost like source or consciousness wants to experience itself in different shapes, forms, and sizes. That's why, all these different souls are everywhere. And the ones we meet are just here to help us see more, experience more of this beautiful world. So you learn, your partner learns, we're all learning, we're all experiencing, we're all growing. And the more we allow ourselves to experience, the more we will grow. And again, that I understand that then sometimes can not feel good. But again, what are you learning from that not feeling good, and how are you redirecting that? I'm not saying stay in the not feeling good. No, learn from it and then redirect it for yourself without having to blame anyone, including you, right? Yourself, right? You're not blaming the other, you're not blaming you. You just understand this is an experience that I'm having in this 3D reality. Okay, I mean, I think I can talk about this forever, but I think you get what I'm saying, right? Like the first house identity, it's really important to look at what's in there, what sign is in there, and then again, that sign, like really get to know that sign, understand it in all its forms and sizes, lower vibration, higher vibration, and how can you allow more of it? Like how can you get the most out of it? Like literally, how can you get most out of that sign? How can you tune that lens so you see sharper, or you see more things, different things. So yeah, if you have any questions about all of this, please feel free to ask. And then I think next week we're going to look at the first house through the lens of synastry, right? So your partner's planets in your first house, right? Your partner's planets and points. And how does that shape you? All right. I will see you next week. Bye.